New York's infrastructure crisis, an isolated construction failure, or a warning sign of deeper urban strains. In recent days, as Cuba once again grappled with a nationwide power outage, public attention in the United States shifted to a serious emergency unfolding in Midtown Manhattan. A high-rise building undergoing a major redevelopment was placed under an emergency evacuation order after structural steel components showed signs of dangerous deformation. At first glance, the two stories appear entirely unrelated. One involves Cuba's long-running energy crisis. The other centers on a construction emergency in the heart of America's financial capital. Yet many political commentators have drawn comparisons between the two, arguing that both highlight a broader reality. When critical infrastructure can no longer keep pace with the demands of a modern society, even cities long regarded as symbols of economic strength can become increasingly vulnerable. According to Cuba's state-owned electric utility, the country has now suffered its third nationwide blackout since the beginning of the year. For years, Cuba's electrical grid has struggled under the combined pressures of chronic fuel shortages, insufficient investment, aging equipment, and decades of deferred maintenance. Meanwhile, New York City experienced localized power outages as an extreme heat wave drove electricity demand sharply higher. Utility operators were forced to reduce voltage in several neighborhoods to prevent widespread overloads and protect the electrical grid. Although the causes and scale differ significantly from Cuba's situation, both cases underscore the growing pressure that extreme weather and rising energy consumption are placing on aging infrastructure. Infrastructure deterioration extends beyond the power grid. In Cuba, numerous reports indicate that more than one-third of the nation's residential buildings are in severe disrepair, while the country continues to face a housing shortage measured in the hundreds of thousands of units. Years of underinvestment, shortages of construction materials, and prolonged economic hardship have contributed to repeated building collapses throughout historic districts of Havana. The incident in Midtown Manhattan, however, raises a different but equally significant set of concerns. According to preliminary reports, the building, formerly serving as Pfizer's headquarters, is being converted from office space into residential apartments. The redevelopment project also includes plans to increase the building's height by adding multiple new floors. During construction, workers reportedly discovered that several load-bearing steel beams on the upper levels had begun to bend abnormally. Engineers considered the deformation serious enough to trigger an immediate emergency response, prompting authorities to secure the site and order evacuations. The Fire Department of New York deployed dozens of emergency units and more than 100 personnel to the scene. In addition to the construction site itself, neighboring buildings, including a school and a hotel, were evacuated as a precaution in case the structural instability worsened. Fortunately, because only construction workers were inside the building at the time of the incident, no injuries or fatalities were reported. Preliminary complaints filed with city authorities allege that portions of the redevelopment may have exceeded the scope of the project's approved permits. If those allegations are ultimately confirmed, the case could raise serious questions about construction oversight, engineering review procedures, regulatory enforcement, and accountability among both developers and municipal agencies responsible for supervising major redevelopment projects. A representative of the Construction Workers Union described the bending of structural steel during active construction as an exceptionally rare occurrence in a city whose building codes are generally regarded as among the most rigorous in the United States. He emphasized that public safety must always take precedence over construction schedules, financial pressures, or development timelines. From a public policy perspective, this may be the most consequential aspect of the story. Across the United States, major cities have increasingly encouraged the conversion of aging office towers into residential housing in response to post-pandemic shifts in commercial real estate demand. While these projects can help address housing shortages, they are often far more technically challenging than constructing new buildings from the ground up. Every element of the original structural system must be carefully reevaluated to ensure that it can safely support new loads and altered building configurations. Even a single engineering error, construction defect, or oversight failure can create consequences that extend far beyond the project itself. The Manhattan incident has also intensified criticism of City Hall and the administration led by Mayor Mamdani. Critics argue that the city's permitting process, construction oversight, and regulatory enforcement have become increasingly bureaucratic and reactive rather than preventive. They contend that the expansion of ambitious redevelopment projects has not always been matched by equally rigorous inspection and enforcement, raising concerns that administrative inefficiencies may be undermining public confidence in the city's ability to safeguard major infrastructure projects. At this stage, however, those criticisms remain political arguments rather than established findings. Investigators and structural engineering experts have not yet determined the definitive cause of the incident, and responsibility cannot be assigned until the official investigation is completed. Viewed more broadly, the Midtown Manhattan emergency serves as a reminder that the strength of a modern city is measured not only by its skyline or the size of its economy, but also by the quality of its governance, the integrity of its engineering standards, the effectiveness of regulatory oversight, and its long-term commitment to infrastructure investment. When those systems begin to show signs of weakness, whether through aging assets, mounting development pressures, or bureaucratic shortcomings, even a single technical failure can rapidly evolve into a major public safety emergency and a nationwide political issue.